what kind of things would make you sack me as your client?
Well, it depends on what we've agreed on in the beginning.
Right.
I think a lot of the time when we look at what determines a bad client is you're not listening to me. But did the trainer listen? Did I listen to you in the first place?
Right. So let's say I want to lose a couple of pounds and I want to tone up. But then I say, right, that was a great first session, but I can't come next week because I've got extra work. So can we just... Is that enough to sack me? Would you say, unless you come religiously every week at 10 o'clock on a Friday morning, we're not working together?
Not necessarily. It depends whether it's... I've got a rule of 3. Right. So if you break the rules once, then we look at it. If we break the rules twice, we look at it again. If it's a third time, then it becomes a choice.
Right. 3 strikes and you're out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Susanna she has so many excuses not to do it.
I do, I'm afraid.
Honestly, she's a nightmare.
So that's a choice.
And what would you say? Out.
So, yeah, so if we've agreed you're going to come these times, you're agreeing to adhere to my programme that we've worked together to build, at the end of the day, it then becomes a thing of, well, you're not sticking to what we've agreed.
No.
So there's only so much that I can do.
Yeah. Fair, Gabriel's got a point, hasn't he? Because I'm really trying to wheedle out of getting fit and getting healthy. And the tough love approach is a good one.
I very much agree, you know, the client needs to be held accountable, but it's very much the role of the trainer. The point of the trainer is to keep the client held accountable in the sense that when it gets tough, it's the role of the trainer to be there as support and make sure they stick to their training.
Right. So it's Gabriel's fault that I'm coming up with loads of excuses, is it?
No, not necessarily, but I think it's not his fault. I think you're building a relationship and it's a mutual respect. So when, you know, anyone can buy a copy-paste program online, but the role of the trainer is to help you, to guide you. You're relying on their expertise to support you. So to dump someone, I think, you know, when it gets tough and there are a few hurdles, you can't just drop someone and give up on them.
But then would you also say that we can't help everyone? And I think it gets to a point where there's 2 different types of motivation. You've got extrinsic and intrinsic. So if the personal trainer's providing extrinsic motivation...
Yeah. Basically external. If the personal trainer's there telling the person...
Exactly. The person needs to want it themselves. So I think it gets to...
Yeah, but I want it.
What should have... Yeah, but
I want it, but, you know, if you say to me do 20 and I only do 10, 10's better than none.
Yeah, but that's actually training in the gym. So that's different. That's different. Once we're training in the gym, we're talking about what you're doing outside of the gym. Because if you do 10...
Oh, and then you go home and have a plate of donuts.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh.
So the 3 strikes involve what you do outside of the gym, and if I come back to you a week later and say, I really enjoyed our session, but I have just been having takeaway all week, that would be 1 strike.
Yeah.
OK.
And that's where we need to understand that...
I thought that's why you went to training.
Yeah, to burn off the calories, Fair. What would you say if I said I've had junk food and donuts?
Listen, I think life gets in the way. It's not realistic. I had a baby recently. I'm not going to the gym half as much as I'd like to, and sometimes I rock up and I'm exhausted. My baby's been screaming all night, and I don't have as much energy as I'd like to. Mentally, I'm 100% there, but realistically, I'm just going to be able to... you know, give maybe 50% that day, and that's what I've got to do. You've got to be realistic, and that's better than nothing.
But what about Natalie saying, "I'm really sorry, don't go to that wedding. You've got to come training, or I'll sack you."
Yeah, and I mean, her claim is very much health, right? She argues health is everything, but I think at the expense of your happiness, you know, it's also about the quality of your life.
Don't go into labour.
It's long term.
But also, with that point as well, because I agree that. When you're looking at health and fitness, you're looking at bettering your overall health. And saying to someone that you can't do X, Y, Z doesn't really make sense. But in her defence, that's what they signed up for.
Yes.
I think
so if all her marketing has gone out as, I am this no-nonsense PT...
Yeah. It's like a contract.
Exactly.
Isn't it? Oh, OK.
So you can't eat this, you can't eat that.
I think it's sort of like a bit of a dated way of looking at things. It's very short term. If you want to go to boot camp, go to boot camp. Yeah. And most people who do, they go for 3 weeks, they come back and they put on the weight again. Yeah. But if you're looking for longevity, something a little bit more sustainable,
so
there are going to be weddings, there are going to be birthdays.
Sorry, I've got to be no-nonsense and tough love about this. Sorry, 3 strikes.
Let them do it.
We asked you whether personal trainers should dump clients who cheat on their fitness regime, and 59% said yes.
No.
Get rid of them. Get rid of them. They're not doing what they said they were going to do. 41% said, no, be a bit more
ridiculous.
understanding.
Get
Sometimes,
voting people. That can't be right.
sometimes excuses.
While you
Sam.
kind of sort out whether you agree with that, here's Laura with the weather.